All right. Looks like we are live. Welcome to the Friday um, Facebook Live from the Center for Coastal Studies. I'm Jesse Meckling, the Education Director at the Center. This is cool marine animals that I have seen. For the next 10 minutes or so, I will be sharing with you one of the cool marine animals I have seen. We're sticking with a trip I took when I was 12 years old down to Baja Baja, Mexico. Um, and yesterday I talked about the northern elephant seal. That was the first seal, true seal that I had ever seen. And today we're going to be talking about the gray whale. So let me pull up the presentation here. Oh, it's not me. Let's see. Here we go. Hopefully we can see all that. So the gray whale. The gray whale is a species of baleen whale, related to humpbacks, finbacks, right whales, all baleen species. Although it is different from those whales. Those whales are called rorqual whales. Baleen is in its own little category. There are actually two distinct populations of gray whales: a eastern Pacific population and a western Pacific population. This is the range of gray whales. You can see that on the west coast from Mexico all the way up to Alaska, and on the east coast of Asia around Russia and mainly the Sakhalin Islands and down near Japan. Gray whales actually once lived in the Atlantic. There was an Atlantic species of gray whale. Some archaeological evidence has found that gray whales actually were present in the Mediterranean. And gray whales were actually one of the first species hunted in the Atlantic. They were known as Scrag whales. And believe it or not, there are lots of places up and down the East Coast whose name is either Scrag or, in the case of New York, Sag Harbor, once known as Scrag Harbor, are places most likely where these whales were found and were hunted. They were actually hunted to extinction by the 1700s on the east coast of the U.S. And if you see here on this map, you see two little stars, one over near the coast of Israel saying 2010, and one down off the coast of Namibia in Southwest Africa saying 2013. There are actually gray whales seen here. A wayward gray whale or two wayward gray whales swam from the Pacific. They're not sure how, whether through the Arctic, the ice-free Arctic, perhaps around one swam around South America. We're not really sure, but they ended up being seen off the coast of Israel in 2010 and off the coast of Namibia in 2013. Gray whales are known for their incredibly long migrations. They actually migrate up to 10 to 14,000 miles every year from their breeding grounds in Mexico to the rich feeding waters up in Alaska, where they spend their summers feeding. These animals can grow up to 45 feet and weigh up to 45,000 kilos or close to 99,000 pounds. They were hunted, as I said, extensively in the Atlantic and also in the Pacific. Gray whales breed, wrong way, gray whales breed in the warm lagoons off of Baja, Mexico on the Pacific side. And it was here that a famous whaleman and naturalist named Charles Scammon found these breeding lagoons, and over the course of a decade or 2 decades nearly decimated the entire population, nearly leading to gray whale extinction in the Pacific, because he was targeting the areas where these whales go to breed. They were once known as devilfish for their fierce. They would attack whalers who were attacking them, which is in really amazing contrast to gray whales today and what gray whales are known for, because gray whales are known as the friendly whales. Gray whales are unique among baleen whales in that they primarily feed on benthic animals, that's bottom dwelling, so little crustaceans called amphipods and little shrimp called mysids. These are some of the main food. They actually suck them up. They swim on their side on the bottom of the ocean. They suck them up, and in their feeding grounds, they create these big plumes of sand and mud that rise up to the surface as they're sort of swimming along the bottom, sucking up these animals into their baleen. They have roughly 300 plates of baleen in their mouth to capture these animals. And as I said, these baleen gray whales are now known as the friendly whales because it places in these breeding lagoons in Mexico, starting in the 1970s. Fishermen in these lagoons would find that gray whales would come up to their small boats or pangas. And here's an image that I actually took last year in this lagoon, San Ignacio Lagoon, which I first visited when I was 12 and went back 35 years later. And the gray whales will come up to the boats and let people actually rub them. Usually it's young gray whales, and usually it's mothers that bring up calves to the boats to let them actually interact with these whales. They're not sure why. There's no distinctive reason why the gray whales do this, but they're known as friendly whales, a long way from their devilfish name that they had from whalers. Gray whales, the past 2 years, have been experiencing what is known as an unusual mortality event. There have been many gray whales washing up on the west coast of Mexico, Canada, and the United States. In fact, 276 animals have died and washed up that we've known that have died and washed up on the Pacific coast of these Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. since the start of 2019. One theory is believed because these animals have now reached their carrying capacity in the environment. Their numbers roughly number about 26,000 individuals. But another theory is that climate change is affecting their feeding. Loss of Arctic sea ice has actually led to fewer animals for them to be feeding on. The animals, the gray whales, are actually having to make longer migrations to further north in Alaska, and they're staying up in Alaska longer to feed on these animals and returning to their breeding grounds later in the season, and also, as reported by scientists and naturalists, skinnier. So it's possible that they're not getting enough food, or it's possible that they're just traveling further and further to catch their food. Again, there's no conclusive evidence on this, but there is thought that the loss of sea ice is affecting how they're affecting their migration and affecting the population. Gray whales can live to be up to 70 to 80 years old. And they breed. They have a calf every 2 to 3 years, again down in the warm waters of the lagoons in Baja and Mexico. Yeah, I lost my train of thought there for a second. So this is an image, as I mentioned. Have been fortunate enough to see gray whales in the lagoons in San Ignacio in Mexico. This is an image from many years ago. One image of someone captured me touching my first whale. This experience has had a great effect on my life, and one of the reasons why I love to educate about whales and love to educate about the marine environment. It's truly an amazing experience, and these whales have gone a long way from their devilfish name to the friendly whales that you find, and people rejoice in seeing them. It's an amazing experience when you have a 45-foot whale come up to you next to a boat and put its head basically on its side and allow you to rub its head or spout, as I did last year. Had a baby spout in my face. It was a pretty amazing experience. So that's about all for gray whales today. Actually, a really cool video when I lost my train of thought. During their migration, gray whales are actually they swim along the coast, the west coast of the U.S., and is a great place to see them as they're migrating north and as they're migrating south, particularly when they move up in the springtime with their calves. They stay very close to shore to avoid predators, mainly orcas. These are very coastal whales, and there's a great video. It was filmed the BBC's Blue Planet of a orca. It's actually the first filming of orcas attacking and sadly killing a whale, and it happened to be a gray whale calf. But it's pretty fascinating to see. If anyone has seen it before, you can post or get it on YouTube. It's a really cool video. These whales face the gauntlet of orcas on their way north, but also things like shipping and fishing gear entanglement that all large whales face, as well as noise in the ocean. So there's a lot of issues that these whales face in their very long migration, and coupled with climate change, could be affecting their population. But it's still it's a truly amazing experience to have them. It's a truly amazing experience to see them, and I hope people on the West Coast, anyone gets a chance to see these. These are amazing whales. And then if you ever get to Baja, definitely take a look. Try to get to one of the lagoons to see them, because it's truly a magical life memory that you'll never forget. So with that, we're about out of time, and I will be back next Monday with another cool animal I have seen. I hope everyone out there stays safe, stays healthy, and we'll see you again on Monday. So thanks very much. Have a happy weekend, and thanks for joining in. Bye now.